Thank you for watching. Today we are going to be making this stool that is very similar to one I made for my kids several years ago, and I figured I'd make a few more of them. So I started off by cutting down some 12-inch common boards that I got from a local hardware store, and I cut the top down to 16 inches long. The legs are going to be 4 inches high, and you see I'm cutting them lengthwise so that the grain will go across. So I'm cutting those, and yes, I am using the factory blade on that. I do realize that. So now I'm just cutting them all down, just doing a nice fresh cut on one side. And I'm going to start cutting everything down to height. I think those stretchers, whatever you want to call them, are 3 inches, and then the legs are going to be 4 inches. Cutting the angle for the legs here. And now I'm just going to measure, just found a nice round object to cut the center, and starting it out on the bandsaw. Then just using the drum sander to get that nice finished look, and then I'm going to do a rough sanding with a 60 and a 110 grit sandpaper.
This is why you stay in school, kids.
And that was just finding out what point the legs were going to sit at so they can sit evenly across the top of the stool there. So I'm doing all of my markings and all of my cutting before I do the round over or anything, just so I'm not having to deal with any roundovers while I'm cutting, and just using the plunge router for this. I did have some issues, you'll see here in a little bit when I switch it around. The depth was giving me problems, and you see on the left there it kind of gave me some little marks there, but that's not going to be an issue. Now I'm doing a 3/8 inch round over on both the top and bottom of the top of the stool here. And you see I'm using a little sacrificial block to make sure I'm not getting any tear out on the cross cuts here. And the little stretcher pieces or whatever you want to call them, just getting a round over on the bottom part. And the legs will get a round over on the outside pieces, and then same thing, because the top and bottom now are going to be the tear out possibilities or whatever you want to call them. I'm just preventing that with that sacrificial block. So same thing, the outside gets the round over, and then on the bottom little arch also gets the round over as well. And I'm using my little Dremel style tool here just to sand the outside to the same angle as the legs. And I'm just gonna keep measuring until I get it in there, and I'll set in there nice and snug. And here I'm just measuring directly down from the inside of the leg pieces there for my dowels, and I'll show you here in a little bit how I'm going to do that, but just measuring just so I have it even. And I'm cutting from the outside in on the first leg here. And then for the second piece, what I'm doing is I'm putting them basically mirrored together so that the second piece is going from the inside out. And I didn't get more footage of this. I got my head in the way too much, but I just put my little stop ring on my drill bit there, and I'm finishing those cuts. And you see I just clamped everything together and just finishing directly through so that all of my dowels will line up instead of trying to finagle everything and manipulate everything. I'm just going straight through. And I did not readjust my fence, and so that's why I'm getting some tear out on my dowels here. So I didn't realize that until afterwards. I just cut the dowels to 1.5 inches in length, and now I'm gonna glue up here using my toothpick to get the glue nice and covered on the inside of those, and just making sure all the surfaces, especially the end grains and everything, are getting nice and covered. I'm going to insert the dowels in there, and then as I'm putting them onto the little stretchers there, instead of trying to line them up perfectly, I use that little hole to get my dowels just pushed through it just a tiny bit on the other end so that they can just slip into the stretchers there. And I did do a little, I didn't show it on the video, but I sanded a little round over to make them go in there a little bit easier. And I'm using my trusty mallet from my Christmas tree that I made. I did have a video on that. Maybe I'll put that in the link or something like that. Yeah, so I'm just using my mallet. Like I said, getting those protruded a little bit past the leg piece there. So now they just kind of set right in there. I don't have to, once again, manipulate everything weird. And I'm just using my clamp to snug it together, make sure everything's clamped or everything's nice and flush. I'm testing it and make sure that it's not wobbly or anything like that before I clamp it up. And then after the glue is dried, I'd come back with my flush cut saw and just cut the dowels that are protruding, because I did cut them a little bit long on purpose. And spraying it down with water, I'm going to be using some water-based stain and finish. So just pre-raising the grain here before I do my final 220 grit sanding here. And using the General Finishes espresso stain. It's pretty dark. It looks like paint on the in the video, but yeah, that's the espresso stain. I'll put a link to all these things like I typically do. I'll put a link to them in the description, or if you're watching this on the website, I'll have the links on there. And if you like this, please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel or to the website or wherever you're watching this from. And I appreciate that very much. Now I'm just putting the water-based, same thing, General Finishes water-based finish on here. I think it's a satin finish. I'm going to finish up by putting some little rubber feet on here, just to anti-slip uh, covers or anti-slip feet. I should have cut it beforehand and put them on. They're a little difficult to mark, so that's why I figured I would do this. It turned out being a little bit more difficult trying to get them cut because of the angles. So next time, yeah, I'll cut them beforehand. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of the final project. So thank you very much for watching, and as always, please make sure you give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you very much, and until next time, God bless.